Hey YouTube, we're back. We got Ruggles here.
Hey guys, always happy to be on the channel.
We have another GOAT match. It's been a while, but I got Dimension Fusion all ready to go.
Yeah, and I have Warrior Turbo, but with new Alti OCG Blade Knights. I'm pretty excited.
He's just flexing. Just flexing.
Always.
Always flexing.
Always.
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the match. It's a wild match. Let me tell you.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and we'll definitely have to do this again.
Oh, we will have a rematch.
Yes, we will.
Oh. All right, let's talk about the match.
Alright, it appears I've won the die roll, which is always great. It's fun drawing that 6th card at the start of the turn. We can't do that anymore.
Every time I play a modern game of Yu-Gi-Oh! After GOAT, it's so depressing going first, but you gotta do it. You opened a Delinquent Duo. That's insane.
Yep, one of those way too powerful power spells. It's not like, Pot of Greed or Graceful Charity, but it's okay. It separates the advantage a little bit, and that's what we want.
You hit the Torrential. Nice hit. I decided to discard the Trap Dust Shoot because I am, going second here. You probably won't keep that big of a hand. And from there, the DD Warrior Lady is interesting. I know going into it that you're playing Reasoning Gate, so I don't really want to summon a big warrior and just swing into it because hypothetically you can just bring it back with the Return or the Dimension Fusion. So I opt to actually use our Rhoda, and I do opt to go for the Exiled Force.
And that is a really good play. It is going to force your Exiled Force to kill my Warrior Lady. You're not going to actually banish anything that you don't want to banish. And you have Exiled Force for later, in case you can bring it back with the Call of the Haunted if you play that, or whatever else. It's a good play, and you're careful, and you just set one, and I draw what looked like Sangan for turn, which is always fun.
Yeah, I did want to play it safe just in case you were trying to pro-storm me. Only set one, you summon the Sangan. Always such a good feeling thing to do because, like, if it dies, you get a card, you get that extra damage in. And I have some option here. I have the Skilled Dark, I have the Kaiku, and, it's at what point do I want to start putting on the real pressure with the Kaiku? I decide early on, I don't have that many cards, and I just feel like I don't want to let things get out of control. I don't want you to be able to continuously banish, but you do have the Torrential.
And you are going to respond with it because you want to prevent me from summoning my big Chaos monsters. And Kaiku does that. Sure, the Sangan's going to die when you attack it. You're going to banish the Warrior Lady first, and I'm going to get a search, but, the Light and Dark in my graveyard are completely useless if I draw a Chaos monster until, Kaiku's gone. Can't have that.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Reasoning Gate tends to brick, and if you can keep that Kaiku on the board, you're probably going to be in a really good situation because it's unlikely they're going to play a myriad of outs, right? Though you do have the Spirit Reaper, and that was an excellent choice.
Yep. I don't know if many Reasoning Gate decks do play Spirit Reaper. I know this list is teched out compared to your typical Reasoning Gate list, but I wanted to have some defense in case you start to get lots of monsters, and Spirit Reaper is good until I can get that push. I did draw Wind Blast for turn, which is always nice to see, and I set it along with the Spirit Reaper. And that's the turn, hoping that you just can't get past it.
Yeah, and it was a smart move. I opt not to summon the extra monster just in case you have something like the Mirror Force. I do want to kind of ensure that I have a follow-up if something occurs, because otherwise that Reaper's just ripping cards out of my hand, and I definitely lose the game at that point.
Oh yes, 100%. Now I drew Storm for turn, and when you don't have a response, I also have Wind Blast, which I just might as well get out of the way. Put Kaiku back because you're down to one card in hand, and we're going to combo all over you this turn. We're going to Premature Burial, bring back the Sangan. Once that hits the field, I'm immediately going to tribute it away for an Air Knight Parshath. So I get a Sangan Search. I'm going to search Magician of Faith because it's just the best card. Spirit Reaper is going to discard the last card in your hand, and I'm going to draw a card with Parshath. You're top decking into Kaiku, which is good, but nothing compared to Air Knight Parshath.
No, you put me in a losing scenario very, very well. Like, you said it correctly. Like, you were comboing off, discarding my cards, drawing your extra cards, and setting up my draw to be absolutely nothing. I summoned it, and you end the game.
That was a pretty sacky draw with the Parshath. That happens, but it was a good situation for me nonetheless. I feel okay.
It was a lot of fun. So I definitely didn't win that first game. Do get to go first here and draw that 6th card, which absolutely breaks the hand. The initial hand was reasonable, it was fine, but the Graceful is going to let me really reorganize and get rid of some of the redundancy. We have a double Blade Knight, definitely don't need that. We have 2 Chaos Monsters, which I'm actually going to opt to discard the Sorcerer because I do want that Dark. It immediately turns on the BLS, and that's incredibly strong for when we need it. We have the Singular Blade Knight for the first turn. That's pretty good. And I don't want to do too much, but I do decide to set the second because I'm not too concerned about the Heavy Storm. That said, you also open the Graceful.
I do open the Graceful. And, you know, I think that was my top deck, actually, which is pretty decent, if I remember correctly. Now I'm just trying to think about what to discard. I see a lot of combo potential in my hand. Like, I have definitely another Monster Gate in there. And we drew the Storm with the Graceful, which I was okay. You know, it's a +1. And Reasoning could potentially do some very disgusting, ignorant things. And I didn't want to risk being met with a Judgment.
I, of course, called the 8, as you just kind of have to, with DMOC being in the format. He hits the Cyber Jar. That's comedy, I suppose.
That's right. Can't do anything with the Cyber Jar except Tribute Summon for Parshath, deal 300 damage, and draw a card. Which is yeah, that's great. Would have felt really bad if I had a DMOC off of that, but it worked. Well, anyway, we set a back row, and that's all we need to do.
Yeah, so I'm in an interesting spot. Again, as I noted, I wasn't too afraid of the Heavy Storm because I also had the MST in hand, so the Dust Tornado was a little redundant. I was willing to chance getting extra aggressive. I was punished for it, but the hand was good enough to have this follow-up. We have the Snatch Steal, able to take the Parshaft, which means we have board control. I'm going to get to draw extra cards, and I'm in a really strong position. And I don't want to overextend with the BLS in hand. It's alive, but I can't win the game. If he has a Snatch Steal, I'm in a really bad spot. So I decide to continue holding that, risk him drawing the Delinquent Duo, but I think it puts me in a better spot.
You know, it really does. And my hand can't actually deal with an Air Knight Parshath right now. I do have Bazoo, but it does lose to your back row, which I think it's about to lose to your back row anyway.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of option. Like, technically you have the out to Air Knight, but you knew that I am playing a lot of battle traps and that the Bazoo probably wasn't going to be able to get in doing what it needs to do. I have the book, it works decently. You know, you had the Wing Blast, so like hypothetically you could have waited, but that's another turn where Air Knight is going to get more damage and then therefore a draw in. So I think you made the right play. It just was a bad scenario.
Yeah, my only option was to try to attack over it. It didn't work. You're going to put me in a weird spot now because you're going to search with Rhoda, but I have to decide with my Wing Blast, what's going to happen with that? Do I bounce the Snatch Steal just to, you know, get my Parshath back just for you to Snatch Steal it potentially next turn? I don't have a follow-up to that if you do that. Do I let the Parshath let you draw a card? That's obviously not the best play either. So I'm sitting here just contemplating my life decisions. There's no good spot. I also don't want to discard any of the cards in my hand because I have Magician of Faith and I have Dimension Fusion. And, you know, they're not the best cards right now. And I think that I'm going to activate the Wing Blast. I'm probably going to discard the Dimension Fusion, but I'm still thinking about, you know, what's going on top of the deck.
Yeah, it's one of those unfortunate spots where you have an answer, but it's not great regardless of what you do. I'm still going to have the Don Zalug on board, which is going to be pressure because it can get rid of the Set Bazoo. And then, you know, you still need to draw a decent out or have a decent follow-up. It's unfortunate. So I get why you take your time. You're thinking about all of it. I feel okay in this scenario. Again, I do have that BLS. I know I can apply that extra pressure. But it's a tough spot.
In the whole line of play here, I didn't even consider BLS. So whenever you drop that down on me, it's going to feel really bad. Just like top decking my own Parshath feels really bad with no cards on the field. But at least this way you don't discard the card in my hand with Don Zalug. you know, it's kind of how it is. I said the Magician of Faith, and at this point, you know, you have a Kaiku now, which is crazy, but you're gonna summon that BLS first, obviously, and that's gonna put me in like a complete world of pain.
Yeah, I have a lot of option with my hand, right? I mean, I can banish the monster with the BLS, ensure that the Donzalug goes through. I can summon the DD Warrior Lady alternatively, and that could run over a Spear Reaper, something of that nature. I could also go for the Kaiku and start working on your graveyard, but I feel like the Kaiku is honestly ideal at this point, just because, again, I know I'm not going to kill you this turn, and if you have BLS, if you have like a big banish oriented follow-up, I can't let that happen. I have my best card on the board. I need to protect it. Kaiku felt like that necessary protection, and so you did get the Magician of Faith. It's a great add, but I feel like my board is still in a strong place, and I still have the opportunity, the chance to rip something good with the Donzalug.
Yes, indeed. I added back Graceful Charity just to try to win the 50-50 here. If you don't hit Graceful Charity, maybe I can draw a Snatch Steal, something, Reasoning, you know, anything, literally anything. But, you know, as you're going to find out real quickly, you don't hit the Graceful, but it probably won't help too much because you still have Kaiku BLS, and I drew a little monster for turn, Morphing Jar, and I think we just scoop it up. Nothing we can do with those cards.
On to game 3.
Alright, after getting completely destroyed, I'm going to go first for game 3. Draw a 6th card, and you can see that beautiful brick in my hand. Things like Parshath, some traps, Dimension Fusion. Everything's just a mess. I set 2 and pass. If you have Heavy Storm, I don't care anymore.
I drew the Pot of Greed and the Trap Dust Shoot. Made me really wish I went first, but still a great follow-up considering you weren't able to do much. You really did brick this game. I didn't realize how unfortunate of a situation you were in, so I'm being a bit more cautious. I'm going to start with the Skilled Dark Magician. It's a card I feel like is strong, but I have no issue losing. If you follow it up with a Breaker, I don't mind if we trade. It's also just very expendable. So with that, we get in, we do some early damage, and I drew double Solemn Judgment off of the Pot of Greed, so I'm not afraid of Heavy Storm either. You have 2 set, one of them could be the Storm, but you know, when you have double Solemn, it's okay, and I am going to get a lot of information off that Dust Shoot.
Yeah, you are. So you're going full Monkey mode right now with your 5 back rows, and Dust Shoot, you see my hand, you see the complete terror that is the brick you're facing. The Magician of Faith is what I drew for a turn, and you even take a whole long time to debate what you put back because everything in there is bad. Like, even if you put back Parshath and not Magician of Faith, what's it going to do for me? Probably nothing. So I do think hitting Magician of Faith is the correct choice because it puts me right back to turn 1, actually. And, you know, knowing that you know what's in my hand, I'm going to end up setting the Wind Blast and one of my D-Fusions just in case you want to MST one of them. You don't know for sure which one it is. And we just hope that I draw some good cards soon and can break through all your back rows.
My thought with returning the Magician of Faith, or rather taking time, the Air Knight was interesting because I can't banish your graveyard with Kaiku, knowing that you have Air Knight and Fusion, because that gives you a tribute. Here, I do decide to get really greedy, knowing that, again, I have double Solemn, I still have 1 if you have the Heavy Storm, and I just want to put that pressure on real quick after seeing how poor your hand was. Really don't want to give you the opportunity to draw into something useful. So we go with our big beaters, as you noted, full Monkey mode. I'm just setting trap cards, flipping them up, swinging in with my slightly less strong Bazoos, and, you know, we pass back.
Speaking of Bazoo, was my draw for turn. Bazoo, you know, it has the weird application of potentially being able to out your monsters, but you have Kaiku, and Kaiku is very annoying. So I summon Bazoo to see if I can just get a response out. You know, it doesn't matter at this point. I've accepted defeat. But if you don't, then we're just going to try to Wind Blast or Kaiku back to the deck so I can banish some cards to keep Kaiku alive for a turn. I hope. Because I don't really want to attack into all your back rows. Because if I do attack, and you have a Sakuretsu armor, I automatically lose the game.
It's honestly a really interesting and smart move. I don't know that everybody would have seen it, but it was really your only legitimate play, and I respect that you saw it. Obviously, it's not the best scenario. You also opt in this turn not to attack, which was really smart because, again, the Chaos Warrior deck plays a lot of traps. Most of them don't play Book of Moon. I opted to play 2 just because I wanted to play a lot of alties, you know. But most would not be able to follow up with that. So just sitting on the Mizzou is quite strong, because if I have like a Sakuretsu Armor, a Mirror Force, a Torrential, maybe a Widespread Ruin, you know, they're just dead if you don't attack. You have time to build your resources and start comboing off. Here I'm showing a lot of my back row just to kind of illustrate what happens while Mario thinks about his turn, but he does pass back, and I think that was the right call.
Oh yeah, considering I would run into a Sakuretsu armor and auto lost. Yep, that's definitely it. But the Book of Moon is really the most flexible option there, and you book me. I'm sure you're going to book me in a second.
Oh, I'm 100% going to book you. And again, I'm feeling very confident about this because I did draw double Solemn off of the Pot of Greed, which again was insane. So I think at this point it's no secret I do end up winning this game here. However, I got so lucky. Like I think that needs to be noted. Mario that was such a bad brick. But I do think there's a lot of potential to the Bazoo Return Reasoning Gate. And ooh, speaking of reasoning, you're going for a play.
Yeah, I do the MST first to try to hit a Solemn Judgment because I need to resolve reasoning to win the game, and I didn't hit the Judgment, and you Judgment, and then I accept defeat because I hit the wrong back row, and that's it. That's it. That's the match.
Yeah, I mean, if you resolved the reasoning and even got to like a Jinzo, I didn't have an out for that. Nope. If you hit the Solemn, so. Yeah, man. Luck. It's a part of the game, isn't it?
It is. But you got it. Congrats.
Thank you.
So there we have it. I got really lucky. I'm not going to boast or, oh yeah, that's so good. No, Mario bricked, but that happens, and I think that makes the deck really interesting in terms of iteration, what you want to do with it going forward. Yes, I will be taking out some of the more bricky cards, like the traps, and then, when we do the rematch, I hope that I don't brick as often, and we can have a good game 3 without bricks, and you drawing double Judgment off Pot of Greed and killing me. Yeah, entirely fair. And going back to game 1, because game 1 was insane. That was like actual combo and goat. That was wild. Getting to tribute the Sangan, get the search, also get the draw off Air Knight. Like there's just so much going on. Is that kind of where you think you want to take the deck? Like just gas? Oh yeah, I want big gas. Yeah. I want the most gas. I don't want us to play exactly meta, Dimension Gate, but I want there to be a lot of gas, and I think we can make it gassier. Okay. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. So, you guys at home, make sure that you subscribe. Make sure that you like the video. That actually, we always say like, subscribe, like, do all of that. Cannot tell you how important that is for the algorithm, how it really does help the channels. I know it sounds like white noise after a certain point, but it really does make a big difference. So to everybody who does stick to the end, who does give that watch time and really support the channel, big thank you for me. Yep. Big thank you for Mario. Thanks. It means a lot, and if you keep doing it, you get to keep coming back for the Alti Blade Nights. Got the flex in. Well, we'll leave you with that, guys. Yeah. Good flex, and we'll see you guys later. See ya. Take care.